Well, here we are in the press box following the IU versus South Carolina State football game. IU won for the first time this season, 38-21. It's a win. That's the first thing to take away from tonight, or this afternoon, rather. But it wasn't most convincing of wins, especially against an FCS opponent that maybe IU should have beaten by more than they did. With me are our columnist, Justin Albers, and my fellow football beat reporter, Alex McCarthy. Guys, what are your thoughts on the game?
Like you said, Max, it's a win. I mean, that's what really matters, but really sloppy after the first quarter. IU got ahead 21-7 after the quarter. It's the first time they've scored 21 in a quarter in a while. And if you put that together with the fourth quarter from the Virginia game, they have 42 points in 2 quarters, so it's looking pretty promising as the lights get turned off on us here at Memorial Stadium.
And on the people on the field.
But, I mean, they committed 19 penalties, a school record. They ended up punting on third down late in the game, which just kind of contributed to the theme of a sloppy performance after the first quarter. And they really let a division or a FCS team in South Carolina State stay in the game for far too long. I mean, they were within 10 points in the fourth quarter when IU could have been up by 24 or more, probably way earlier than that. It just seemed like maybe they get ahead by 17, they relax, and then it's cut to 10, and they put they start playing well again, and they put it back up to 17, but they could never do more than that. So, I mean, you take out of it, it's a win. You had some good performances, but I would have liked to see them play better after last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see improvement in places, but a lot of it was there was a lot of sloppy play. The penalties were just almost laughable at times in the press box with back-to-back penalties a few times, which must drive a coach insane. But this is probably the only opponent that they'll have this year where they will be able to get away with 19 penalties, with a turnover in the red zone, making this many mistakes, and still escape with what looks on the scoreboard as a fairly convincing 3-possession victory. But it's good to get that first win under their belt. Kevin Wilson's regime has got their win finally. They've got a little more confidence. Gerald Drain said after the game, okay, we're going to go to North Texas, we're going to beat them, we're going to come back and beat Penn State. They're excited. They're much more excited than they were when they talked to us after the Ball State game, obviously. And they're ready to get their season going a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this win could set wheels in motion for the team. That's definitely a possibility, and I think that's what they're banking on. And until next week at North Texas, we just don't know what the effects of this win really will be. Maybe it'll be all positive, because at the end of the day, they have a win today, and that's a big deal for this team with a new coach. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, there were some good performances, and those are definitely some positives to take away. D'Angelo Roberts had over 100 yards rushing as a true freshman in his third ever college game. That's a big deal. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Roberts has looked good. I mean, a lot of young players on this team have looked good. We talk about the receivers all the time, but Roberts is a guy that was not even listed on the 2 deep this week, but we found out that maybe they just didn't change it from last week. But he's a guy that is going to challenge Matt Perez for the starting job, I think, as the season goes along. He's not as big maybe as he will be in the future or needs to be a featured guy in the Big Ten, but he's quick, he runs hard. Wilson said after the game he still makes some mistakes. He's not where he always needs to be in pass routes and blocking schemes and things like that, but it's an area where he's going to improve. What you like is the effort he's putting. I mean, to run for 100 yards in only his third college game, or I think he only played last week for the first time. So it's definitely a positive, and you combine that with a young player like Wright Baker and the young wide receivers, and this is going to be a pretty deep team for a while.
Yeah, like you said, Roberts, not listed on the 2 deep depth chart this week, and then in the second half, really. It was really his. It seemed like it was his game. When IU started, when the game started getting a little bit closer, the first drive after they, things started getting a little too close for comfort. They just gave it to him play after play after play, and he just ran through the South Carolina State defense and ended up scoring on that drive. And he just looked great from then on. But another guy that was also not listed on the depth chart this week was Deweese Wilson, who had a good week last week, and tonight he just came out and he had a great first quarter. Made a couple huge catches, one of which set up a touchdown, one of which was a touchdown, and then later in the game, on a big third down play, he reached out, tipped the ball with his hand, tipped it to himself, and made the catch on third down, which, again, the next play ended up being another big pass play, a 40-yard touchdown pass to Kofi Hughes. So Deweese Wilson, had a great game again. These guys who maybe didn't play a whole lot in fall practice, are coming back. They're making strides. They're getting themselves working back into it. Ted Bolser was a little bit more involved tonight. He had a catch, at least. So it's good to see those guys, after being a little bit nicked up in fall camp, to come back and really start contributing and carrying their weight.
And the thing is, you talk about most of the positives came on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, outside the offensive line, Andrew McDonald committed 6 penalties today. They started some younger players, some freshmen, took Justin Pagan out of there. It's just kind of surprising. But outside the offensive line, you had good performances from Deweese Wilson. Kofi Hughes played well. Edward Wright Baker looked good, 19 of 24 for 266 yards and 2 touchdowns, even though he got pulled at one time for Dusty Keel when he fumbled in the red zone. That was his one mistake today. But I think he continues to progress. And then you talk about the running backs. I mean, Perez didn't get as many carries today, but Roberts carried the load. And defensively, there's still some errors. You saw the 69-yard screen pass for a touchdown. And they're still not really where they need to be right now on defense. They kind of took that bend but don't break approach today. They were opportunistic, got a turnover in the red zone. But really, this game could have been closer than it really was because the defense didn't play all that well again.